Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, December 18th, 2022. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And another week. I'm just amazed every time we make it to another Sunday. And I know it's getting harder for a lot of people for all different kinds of reasons. Well, it's getting harder for all of us. So, I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube, where we go over climate-related items and methane and sea ice. And we're going to start with Climate Reanalyzer for today. And here are the maximum temperatures worldwide. And this is, see that purple? That's the Arctic blast, Siberian air that's coming across the Arctic and coming down through Canada. And that's what's going to be hitting the U.S. this week. And it's going to be cold. I mean, it's been cold. Here in the Reno area, it's been cold. And, we're not done yet. And here's the flat view. And not many whites. Here's a little white in the Congo of Africa. Some whites on the northern part of Australia, and the white denotes about 40 C or higher temperature, or 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Here's 2 meter temperature anomaly again for today. And we've got, look at this red over Siberia, and then brown still over the Chukchi Sea. We've got brown in the Bering Sea, and we've got red here over the Kara Sea, and here's red in the North Baffin Bay, red over part of Canada, and then brown and reddish brown over this northeast part of Canada, and then cold coming down. See that light purple, the chart over here, the light purple is about 24 C lower than normal. So, here it's coming down, and we can see almost all of the U.S. is in the blue now, lower than normal. Here's the flat view, and northern Africa is in the browns, and then browns here in this Mediterranean area, and then swinging up to Russia, and then Middle East, India, and West China in the browns, and then lots of blues. Antarctic has quite a few browns. Here's our overview for today. Worldwide, we were up 0.48 C higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.75 C. The Arctic is up 3.09 C. The Antarctic is up 0.83 C. Southern hemisphere is up 0.21 C. And the tropics are up 0.31 C. So things have cooled down overall, but even in spite of that, we still have the Arctic at 3 C higher than normal. So it's it's warmer, heating faster than the rest of the planet. Here's precipitation and clouds. The green is rain and the blue is snow. So we've got this snow coming up beside Greenland and over the Barents Sea, here over the North Baffin Bay and so forth. And look down here, this is over the Weddell Sea. They have freezing rain, and yesterday it was raining at this western peninsula at the tip. And I think it's kind of early in the year, in the warming season in the Antarctic, for them to be getting rain. But I think we're gonna see a whole bunch of things during this summer season for down under, and we're gonna see a whole bunch of things that we don't normally see. Here's the jet loops, and see how crazy that is. There's no jet stream anymore. It broke. And look at this one. There's one that kind of hangs around the equator. And I've been showing for the last, 2 or 3 weeks, how the northern jet stream is meeting with the southern jet stream, and sometimes they switch. And so here in the Pacific is a big knot, it looks like, of different air patterns, and here the northern and southern hemisphere jet loops are meeting, and then that's right at the equator, and then it goes back up across Mexico. And then here it splits out again, and the one arm goes south, and we can see it swoops down almost to the equator in Africa, and then it goes back up until it hits the Pacific. So there's no rhyme or reason, and we're going to see more and more chaotic weather with this. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This was for yesterday. We've still got a lot of browns in this North Atlantic and along the Russia coastline, even up in the Kara Sea. Now here, the brown has gone away in the Chukchi Sea. That's refrozen. It's a thin layer, but that is finally refrozen. And we've got reddish browns around Greenland and Iceland. And here's our problem spot off the coast of North America, going up into the pink, which is 6°C higher than normal. And the Gulf of Mexico is heating, and it's moving into the reddish brown phase, which is about 4 to 5°C higher than normal there. they're not showing an overview anymore since they redesigned the website. So we have to just eyeball where we're at. So look at all these browns in the Atlantic, and it's still warm, dark brown in the Mediterranean, and here in the Black Sea, part of the Red Sea, Persian Gulf, and so forth. Here's the Pacific view. Here's our blob in the North Pacific, and here around Japan it's turning red, and here in the southern hemisphere, from northern Australia over, it's like it looks like we've got a new blob creating here just west of Australia, instead of it being just a solid line. I mean, we do have browns, but this looks like a blob is forming, and all around New Zealand it's in the brown, and here off the west coast of South America we've got this blob forming. And then the equatorial Pacific is still in the blues, so that's colder than normal. And just on the west coast, or off the west coast of North America, we're seeing blues as well, so colder than normal there. Next, I want to go over methane, and we're going to look at 2 days worth of methane for the NOAA data, Friday and Saturday, and then on CAMS we're going to look at Saturday on methane. And remember, let's see, end of October they switched to a new model, and the 469 millibar level was not one of the options in the new model, and so we're having to start over with tracking methane. But that's what we're doing, and watching the trends. So we're starting with the 1000 millibar level, and we're on the 16th in the morning. The Met-Op-B satellite, the mean or average was 1837 parts per billion. The high reading was 2306. In the afternoon, the mean was 1841. The high reading was 2268. On the Met-Op-C in the morning, the mean was 1845. The high reading was 2250. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1848. And the high reading was 2244. Now we'll go to the 17th, staying on the 1000 millibar level. In the morning on the Met-Op-B satellite, the mean was 1840. The high reading was 2274. In the afternoon, the mean was 1842. The high reading was 2201. On the Met-Op-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1847. The high reading was 2218. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1849. and the high reading was 2193. So we can see that we're not having huge areas of no data, so this is more in line with the data. So the 17th averaged out to be 1844.5 parts per billion, and that was a slight decrease over the week before, 0.75. And here's the chart. I keep changing the view to see what I like the best, and this is points and curved lines. So here's where we were on October 29th, and just at the beginning of the cooling season for methane. And so it's gone up. I see it went up 3 weeks, not in a row, but it's gone down 4 weeks now, not in a row either. And so here's where we're ending up for yesterday. So it should be going down overall, and you know, it's not unusual to have some stair-stepping, and we did have that week of the 10th with so much missing data that those readings with the increase might not have been totally accurate. But that's what we've got. See, we had 6 days. We had 6 days of the not complete data, but you know, I just made a note of it, and we did see rising during that time, but we saw falling as well. So let's see what's happened this week. Here we were last Sunday. So for Saturday the 10th, we ended the week at 1845.25, with that being an increase of 3.75 that week. And then on the 11th, it went down 0.75, and so we're still having missing data those 2 days. And then on the 12th, it went down 1 part per billion. On the 13th, it went down 0.25. On the 14th, it went down 0.5. 15th and 16th, no change. And then here for Saturday the 17th, this is the first day this week that it's gone up, and it went up 1.75 in 1 day, and so it brought us overall to a decrease of 0.75 for the week. Now, where am I? Okay, now I'm also tracking the 487 millibar level, and that's the closest we can get to the 500 HPA level on cams for comparison. So back to the 16th in the morning on the Met-B satellite for the 487 millibar level. The mean or average was 1909 parts per billion, The high reading was 2504. In the afternoon, the mean was 1917. The high reading was 2530. On the Met-Op-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1880. The high reading was 2186. And then in the afternoon, the mean was 1881. The high reading was 2240. And see how far south these pinks are coming down into northern Africa. And then moving on to the 17th in the morning for the Met-Op-B 487 millibar level. The mean was 1914. The high reading was 2420. In the afternoon, the mean was 1916. The high reading was 2472. On the Met-Op-C in the morning, the mean was 1882. The high reading was 2220. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1882. And the high reading was 2329. And so we can see the highest readings are gathered over the Arctic Ocean and the northern hemisphere. And so here on our weekly chart, so the 17th averaged out to be 1898.5 parts per billion, showing a decrease this week of 0.75. So the same as the other one. See? And here's what happened this week. So in our show last Sunday, we ended the week with the Saturday data of 1899.25, and that was an overall increase for the week of 3.75 with the missing data. And then the 11th, it went down 1.25. On the 12th, it went down 1. 13th, it went down 0.75. 14th, it went up 0.5. 15th, it went down 0.5. On the 16th, it went up 0.5. And on the 17th, it jumped up 1.75 in one day, and giving us an overall decrease of only 0.75 this week. So 2 days in a row here at the end of the week we had warming. Now we'll move on to CAMS. And we're going to look at Saturday the 17th, Arctic view and surface level. So remember, we saw it go up on Saturday. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period is Sunday through Wednesday. Look at these reds coming up. Look at this Laptev Sea, and that's coming up through the sea ice there. Komsomolets is still billowing. Look at all these reds. And see, it's marching across from Europe, and this Scandinavian area is high. And see, look, as it goes on in the forecast period, the interior of Russia is heating back up. Here's Koktovik, Alaska, and here's southern Alaska. It's kind of coming back to life. I think they've had some rain there, so that might have thawed something out. Okay, now we'll go to the North Pole view. Here we can see pretty much the whole northern hemisphere. And look at from Spain all the way across. It's just a huge methane readings. And remember, they're in the blue, colder than normal air, but that doesn't keep methane from being high. Here's the Persian Gulf. Look how it's streaming over into Saudi Arabia. Here's India. It's still filling up, and heavy readings where it's spilling into this Bengal Bay. China also, look at these waves, the dark waves moving out. All of this, these are signs of super high methane readings. And then see the green waves move out. Look at the US. Look at California. It's streaming out. We may have to look at the North Pole view. Look at, there's a definite cutoff point from Texas up and then east. Got super high readings. And then west, you just have spotty areas of high readings until you get to California, and it's pretty filled up. So let's just take a peek at North America. I didn't preload this. So, see California. Look at this. It's streaming out. And Southern California too. Here's West Texas. That's from all the oil drilling there. And this is, that looks like New Mexico. And all of the Gulf states are high. So if we run it, you'll see it kind of pulses back and forth. And here in North Dakota, look at that. So in the forecast period, It's just one big blob after another here. I don't know how else to describe it. See the wave? Okay, now we're going down to the Antarctic. Here's the Western Peninsula. We're seeing it come up here. See, right there. That's at the Larsen B ice shelf. And it's coming up at the Brunt ice shelf. You'll see in a minute. You'll see it go to aqua instead of this light blue there, see? And on this north edge, and Amory ice shelf is aqua. And here the main background color is this light blue, which is 1840 parts per billion. And then the navy blue that's creeping in, see here? That's the next lower reading, 1820. Now we'll go to the global view. Look at that. Getting more here in Brazil, see? And see from Spain all the way over, all the way to Russia. Look at that, one big blob. And we're getting more of the darker blue creeping in as the southern hemisphere is going down. But the northern hemisphere is going up. Okay, now 500 HPA. And at this level, methane likes to gather over the coldest areas. When here, it's gathered over the Arctic, primarily. Here's total column. And it's really shocking to start seeing that darkest color now showing up over other land areas besides China or India. And I mean, it's still over here over China, here in the Indian Ocean, here India, and then see that line going through, and I think that's a line in North America. Let's go back to North America and see. When you zoom in, oh yeah, look at that. It's a swirl. When you zoom in, you can see a lot more contrast. And so now the US has some of that darkest his color over it. So that's unusual. And let's go to the Europe view. See. This is over the Mediterranean, and then this is starting with Greece, it looks like, and going east. Maybe that's not Greece. I'm not sure. Probably like Switzerland. And see, here's some more spots and more up there. So that's pretty shocking. In the past, I've seen it like this over China and some of India, but not further north in the northern hemisphere like this. So there's that. And a couple more things to show from CAMS. This is sulfur dioxide today, and so we can see that the sulfur dioxide that came up from Mauna Loa when it was erupting is still holding in the atmosphere. And see, it's caused this whole northern hemisphere to go up. And here's 500 HPA, and this is left over from Colombia there. And you can see some areas where it's still kind of red at 500 HPA, and most of it is left over from the Mauna Loa eruption. Here's the Antarctic ozone today. And we can see, excuse me, we can see that the danger zone hole has closed up. So we're not seeing that bluish purple now. We're still seeing aqua, which is thin, and greens, and this is over most of the northern part. And then we've got greens on the western side. Here's the Arctic view for ozone. We've got some greens here in Canada and Baffin Bay, and here off the coast of the US and coming across. Then we've got heavy methane here over China. I still think that's from pollution. Look at that. Talk about a blob. So here's the global view, and we've got aqua over the West Pacific still, and it looks like over India and the Arabian Sea. We've got a break here coming up into South America. All these greens are below healthy or good ozone. That's all of those. And next, before we go into sea ice, I've got an article to share, and this is Sam Carana's latest post from December 15th, and the title is Arctic Sea Ice in Rapid Decline. And we knew that because we saw that it's been at the lowest ever for a long time. And earlier this year, on February 25th, Antarctic sea ice extent was at an all-time record low of 1.924 million square kilometers. Throughout the year, Antarctic sea ice extent has been low. On December 14th, 2022, Arctic sea ice was merely 9.864 million square kilometers in extent. Only in 2016 was Antarctic sea ice extent lower at that time of year. And importantly, 2016 was a strong El Nino year. And he says that the El Nino is set up to strike soon. Meanwhile, ocean heat content keeps rising due to high levels of greenhouse gases, as illustrated by the image on the right. Okay, global ocean heat content. There we go. See the chart. Rising ocean heat causes sea ice to melt from below, resulting in less sea ice, which in turn means that less sunlight gets reflected back into space and more sunlight gets absorbed as heat in the ocean, making it a self-reinforcing feedback loop that further speeds up sea ice loss. And here he's showing the melt in the Antarctic. The currently very rapid decline in sea ice concentration around Antarctica is illustrated by the animation of Climate Reanalyzer images on the right, showing Antarctic sea ice on November 16th, November 29th, and December 15th. In 2012, a research team led by Gemma Wadham studied Antarctica, concluding that an amount of 21,000 gigatons, or billion tons, or petagram, equals 10 to the 15 G of organic carbon is buried beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, as discussed in an earlier post. The potential amount of methane hydrate and free methane gas beneath the Antarctic ice sheet could be up to 400 billion tons. The predicted shallow depth of these potential reserves also makes them more susceptible to climate forcing than other methane hydrate reserves on Earth. We are sleepwalking into a catastrophe for humanity. We need to take notice right now. It is already happening. This is not a wait-and-see situation anymore, said Gemma Wadham. And then here he's got the Navy model. You can see it's just drastic. Shocking to see how fast it's melting. And then he talks about high methane over the Antarctic, the pink here. That was on November 28th. And that's it. So I will leave a link below for this. And now that is a good segue into sea ice. Starting with our Climate Reanalyzer images. I download these every day. Here we are today on the 18th for sea ice concentration, and then the white over the land is snow cover. And we still have a little bit on the east side of the Hudson Bay that has not refrozen. Here's the Baffin Bay trying. East side of Greenland is trying. Still struggling to get to Svalbard. Here it's come out past Franz Josef Land, and it's coming down the east coast of Novaya Zemlya, and then it's filled in pretty much. And here's the Bering Strait. We've still got some open water there, but so here we were last week on the 11th, and let's just click through and see what we can see. So here's the 11th. Here's the 12th, 13th, there it goes, 14th. Now you can see it changes every day. 15th, 16th, 17th, and here we are today on the 18th. And now, moving on to the Navy model, U.S. Navy, and this is Arctic sea ice thickness. This is for today. And it's just taking forever for this to thicken up on this refreeze. And we've got purples. The dark purple is about 1 meter thick. The dark blue is about, what is that? 1.25 meters thick. The dark aqua is about 1.5 meters thick. The bright aqua, well, I left out green. Green, we've got a little bit here, is about 3 meters thick. The bright aqua is about 2 to 2.5 meters thick. And we've got bright red just above Greenland. It's on the edge of the Lincoln Sea, and it's broken up here in the Lincoln Sea. Then we've got red right next to it, which makes no sense to me. And we're seeing a little more aqua in these tributaries. And it's about the same. Okay, here's the 30-day animation. The data goes back 3 weeks and the forecast goes out to next Saturday. Look at this ice move down. Watch this piece. Here it goes. See, so that's stretching still, and this east side is moving out through the Fram Strait. Not much thickening. Not much change even in the week coming up. And here's the Beaufort sea ice thickness. This is Canada on the right, and the little red slivers, that's thicker sea ice, 4 to 4.5 meters thick. Here's where that hole is filled in the Chukchi Sea. We can see it's really thin, but at least we've got something there. Here's the 30-day animation, and this was updated to today, so the forecast goes out to next Sunday. Yeah, about the same on this aqua ice. Here's filling in. And we've got quite a few blues coming across. Here's the Antarctic today. This is awful. Look at it. Look at all these open areas. That's where the ice is already melted, and the white spots. And it's so ragged. And this 30-day animation was updated to yesterday, so the forecast goes out to next Saturday. And look at that. Now if you watch right here, this is coming off the Thwaites Glacier, and we can see it goes down to nothing in the sea ice there. But keep that in mind, because you're going to see something that contradicts that on NASA Worldview. We're going to see that in a minute. Here's sea ice concentration from National Snow and Ice Data Center. So if you see dark blue, it's either in the refreeze stage. It can also be melting, but it means there's a lot of cracks and open water in between the larger areas of ice. And see, it's filled in around Alaska, it's filled in at the Chukchi Sea, and it's almost filled in here at the Bering Strait. Here's sea ice extent on the refreeze this year. This blue line is this year. The dotted line is, this year the dotted line is 2012. And this week we dipped below 2012 for quite a few days, and see how it just took a sharp angle up, and then we crossed back over 2012, and now it looks like this is starting to thaw out on, or stall out on the refreeze. Here's the Antarctic. Wherever you see the dark blue, that's going away, which is the majority of the ice. Here's the extent chart. This is for the melting, remember. And here's for yesterday. And see, it's just taking a nosedive, almost straight down. Here it was last year, and there's the median. And we saw all of those. Okay, now moving on. We're going to start in the Arctic. And we can see almost everything is in the dark. This is probably not going to get much worse in the next couple of days. I think the winter solstice is the 21st, so that's only 3 days off, and that will be the longest night of the year in the northern hemisphere, and the longest day in the southern hemisphere. So here we are. Here's the sea ice concentration layer. See all these pinks? That means that there are cracks. I just got the hiccups. Here it is not very concentrated here on the east side, and here it is coming back in the Kara Sea, and so on. Here it's filled in the Chukchi Sea. Here we were last week, and let's see what changes happened. There's the 12th, 13th, 14th. Okay, this was filled up by the 14th. Here's the 15th, 16th, 17th, and here we are today. So we're getting more whites now, and that the white area doesn't mean it's thick necessarily. It just means that it's a solid skim of ice, solid layer of ice, with no breaks or anything. And I took a peek at the Earth at nighttime. I looked at that layer a little earlier, and it's very disappointing. We had such a good view last week, but see, it just looks like a kaleidoscope. Sorry, I'm so sorry about the hiccups. And then some areas it's just too dark to make out that much. Here's holes in the Lincoln Sea. So I'm thinking like the thicker ice is right here along the Greenland coastline, and then here's our Lincoln Sea. So that's kind of independent of the other ice. And look at this. I mean, we can usually glean a few tidbits of interesting things. This is open water where the dark line is dark. See? See this crack go all the way up? So this is where our thicker sea ice is. And let's see what else. Can't see much of anything there. Here's Laptev Sea. We've got a lot of reflection here. Here's Svalbard. Here's Longyearbyen with the lights. Here's the ice. It's just starting to touch this North Island on Svalbard. And we're back to where we started from. And now we'll go to the Antarctic. Okay, now we'll take a look at the Antarctic. And we're starting out here. Here's our A76 iceberg that we've been tracking. It hasn't done a lot this week. Let's see, it's just kind of rotating back and forth. So here we were last Sunday on the 11th. There's the 12th, 13th, 14th. Here it goes. 15th. Just nudging to the left. 16th. 17th. And here we are today, and it started rotating back to the right. So I don't know what's going on there. I would have expected it would have gone all the way out by now, but guess not. Here's the Weddell Sea, here's the Western Peninsula, and this is what's left of the Larsen B ice shelf. And remember, we saw on cams it was coming up right in this region. the methane was coming up, and the Brunt ice sheet, ice shelf, that had higher readings. And on the north edge, higher readings. Here's the Amory ice sheet. Here's open water. Look at all this. Just melting. Here's the Totem Glacier. And here's the little ice tongue. We've got two cracks, one going to the right and one going straight up. And then coming on around here is Ross Island. There's Mount Erebus. See all this open water. Here we are, coming around. Okay, this is still the Ross Sea. Now we're past that, coming around. I'll show Thwaites in a minute. Here's Pine Island Glacier. Here's a hole in the ice. Here's another one. See, yesterday there's the hole. Look at this. This is an excellent view on the 16th. So here's the glacier, and this line, this jagged line, is where it calved off a couple of years ago. And this whole area was melted. All of this. And so there's that. And here's the Thwaites Glacier. And you see this? Last week, this ice was not here. It's either been photoshopped in, or they've been doing something to push all this ice up. So I'm not used to seeing the ice to go back up to where it had been. See, way back here, see this whole thing, even on the 5th, and it was pretty well intact. Okay, Let's go forward now. There's a sixth. Here's the 7th, 8th, 9th. Lots of clouds. 10th. Here we were last Sunday, 11th, 12th, 13, 14, 15, and lo and behold, after all those days of cloud, look at this. The ice has magically reappeared. And why do I not buy that? Because we've seen this melting early on, and the only way that could have moved back up there would have been if the ice drift would have pushed it up. I don't know. So we'll keep tracking that. And here's open water. And then coming back up, here's the Western Peninsula. So back to where we started from. Now we'll go over some earthquakes. There have been 203 worldwide in the last 24 hours. See all these smaller dots? Those are 4s, and then the bigger dots are 5s. And we've got movement here in the Arctic. This is at Iceland. And here in this, this is the Atlantic. I said Arctic. So this is Iceland, and then here in the South Atlantic, 5.0 South Sandwich Islands, and so on. Let's see what Hawaii is doing. $15. That's kind of a low number for them. Here's Iceland. See? One right on that southern edge. Here's some 4s and 4s and 5s. Let's look at Alaska. Okay, we've got 32 up here today. That's a low number. So whenever we see lower numbers than we've been seeing, it means that the pressure is building somewhere else on the planet for something to blow. West Texas had 4 today. 3.2 was the largest one. So here's the Pacific Northwest, just a few up there. And right up here on the northern Nevada and Oregon state line, we still are having earthquakes here. 2.3. That was at 0 depth. So right at the surface. And then a microquake of -0.1. Okay, here's the geysers. This is high. 47 here today. And normally we'll see like 25 to 30, but 47 is not in the norm of what we normally see. Let's see. Here's one just next to a reservoir. 1.5 Clear Lake Oaks, California. And let's look at 7 days all magnitude real quick. And look at this. In the last week, we've had 1,895 earthquakes. And here in the Aleutian Islands, this was a 6.3. At Rat Islands, and I think that was the largest. Then a lot of 5s, and we've had movement. Look at this. This one right here is just north of La Palma. Here's La Palma, and there it is, 5.0. And we had some on the Reykjanes Ridge, and let's see, this Wanda Fuca plate had some movement. Look at all these. The largest was a 4.9, and that was on the 14th. And so on. They're just filling up everywhere. Look at down here on the Antarctic ridge. Look at that, 3 right there. So that's my report for this week. And we'll bring it back to the spiritual perspective. We're reading out of the book of Job from the Bible. And we need the patience that he has, and we need his perseverance. Job chapter 13. Lo, mine eye hath seen all this, mine ear hath heard and understood it. What ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I would speak to the Almighty, and desire to reason with God. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. Oh, that ye would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom. Hear now my reasoning, and hearken to the pleadings of my lips. Will ye speak wickedly for God, and talk deceitfully for him? Will ye accept his person? Will ye contend for God? Is it good that he should search you out? Or as one man mocketh another, do ye so mock him? He will surely reprove you, if ye do secretly accept persons. Shall not his excellency make you afraid, and his dread fall upon you? Your remembrances are like unto ashes, your bodies to bodies of clay. Hold your peace, let me alone, that I may speak, and let come out me what will. Wherefore do I take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in mine hand? Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. But I will maintain mine own ways before him. He also shall be my salvation, for an hypocrite shall not come before him. Hear diligently any speech, and my declaration with your eyes. Behold now, I have ordered my cause. I know that I shall be justified. Who is he that will plead with me? For now, if I hold my tongue, I shall give up the ghost. Only do not two things unto me, then will I not hide myself from thee. Withdraw thine hand far from me, and let not thy dread make me afraid. Then call out, and I will answer, or let me speak, and answer thou me. How many are mine iniquities and sins? Make me to know my transgression and my sin. Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and holdest me for thine enemy? Wilt thou break a leaf driven to and fro? And wilt thou pursue the dry stubble? For there writest bitter things against me, and makest me to possess the iniquities of my youth. Thou puttest my foot also in the rocks, and lookest narrowly upon all my path. Thou settest a print upon the heels of my feet, and he as a rotten thing cometh, as a garment that is moth-eaten. Job chapter 13. So he never lost his faith in God, no matter what Satan did to him. He kept praising God and never lost his faith. And I'm afraid there are going to be a lot of people, as we go through darker things, they're going to lose their faith. They're not going to have the faith of Job. But if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend it highly right now. So I love you all, and God willing, I'll be back next Sunday with another update. God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.